He was slapping the guy like in the head, and I said, well, you know that's illegal. And he said, well, get out of here. Mind your own business.
They slammed me against the wall, and they had my hands behind my back, and he slapped me over my head with that flashlight they have.
They was hitting me in the back of my head with a walkie-talkie, a black jack, and the back of their gun handles.
She hit me like on the side of the face, and she hit him like in the back of the head.
And he waved to his other hand and he said, come here, smartass. And when I walked up to him, he whacked me with the pistol.
One police officer had their feet on my back, holding me down while all the police officers was kicking me in my face.
So he put it between his legs, took it out, cocked it, and put it up on my neck. He said, I'll shoot you in the head.
He hit me in the mouth with his flashlight. Then he handcuffed me and hit me a couple of more times in the mouth. And then put me in the car and drove around, beating me a little bit. Then when we got to the police station, he took me out and threw me on the ground and put his gun to my head and said that if I told anybody that he'd done that he was gonna kill me and that he knew where I lived.
I went down and picked up the case because it was my regular assignment to do so. And I met Andrew Wilson, who at the time was bandaged up. We went through the normal court procedures. I went in the back and spoke to him, and he described to me the injuries that he had. I then called our investigator to come over with a camera to take pictures of those injuries. He had a slash over his eye, which was a wound that had been previously sutured and had been split open again. He had a split on the back of his head, which had been sutured. That he described as coming from getting hit on the head with a 45 by the wagon police officers. He had all sorts of marks on his legs, he had marks on his chest, and the most interesting were the marks on his ears. They were little tiny loop marks on his ears. That I'd never encountered before.
They was beating on me, they was kicking at me, they was punching me. And one time they knocked me down. Somebody grabbed the bag out of the garbage can, the plastic bag out of the garbage can. He stuck it over my head and he had his hand on it, right? And I could hardly breathe. I was like suffocating. And so I was struggling when they were still hitting on me, so I bit a hole through the bag. Burge said, it's fun time. He took out the black box out of the bag. He put one wire on one ear and one wire on the other ear. So he started cranking it. I was hollering and stuff, and I would rub it off. They stretched me across the heat radiator and handcuffed me. He put the wire on my fingers, my baby fingers, one on one finger and one on the other finger. And then he kept cranking it and kept cranking it and kept cranking it. And I was hollering and screaming. I was calling for help and stuff. My teeth was grinding, flickering in my head, pain and all that stuff. He kept cranking and cranking and cranking it. He kept on doing it over and over and over. It hurts, but it stays in your head, okay? It stays in your head, and it grinds your teeth. It grinds constantly, grinds constantly. The pain just stays in your head. Burge asked me, was I going to make a statement, or was he going to torture me some more? And I told him I would make a statement. I signed anything they gave me because I didn't want to be tortured anymore. Burge said, we're going to fry your black ass now because of the statement I gave him.
The claims that he made could be verified by the photographs. That is, that he had been held against a hot radiator and burned, that he'd had electrodes attached to his ears and been given electric shocks, and that he had been beaten. In addition to these marks on his ears, what is the other evidence we have that this is electric shock? Well, first there's his story of how they did this to him, that they attached wires with the electrodes to his ears, the clips to his ears, and he stated they had a black box, and the wires came from this black box, and they turned the handle of the black box and generated the electricity that way.
The black box, as described by Andrew Wilson, was a phone generator, one of those field telephones that can generate its own electricity that the military used in Vietnam. And it has a handle, and then there's the generator, and there were black wires that were attached to the generator and alligator clips attached to the wires. So therefore, you could crank the generator and send about 90 to 100 volts of electricity through the wires into the alligator clips, which you could, of course, attach to the ears and the fingers or wherever else you could attach it. And this is what they did on several occasions to Andrew Wilson.
And again, it was his recognition that they'd gone beyond the bounds. That hitting and kicking is, quote, acceptable and acceptable, right? That's the usual type of thing. But this had clearly gone beyond the boundary of what was permissible in terms of extracting a confession, if you will. And his appropriate response, his description of what happened to him, the physical evidence, all is diagnostic of him having been tortured with electric shock.
Wilson was prosecuted, of course, for the murders of the police officers. It was a very celebrated case. He was convicted of the double murder and given the death sentence. He then appealed to the Illinois Supreme Court based primarily on the fact that his confession was tortured out of him and shouldn't have been admitted to trial. The Illinois Supreme Court, in an unprecedented decision, agreed that the evidence of all this torture was so strong that the confession had to be barred from evidence and gave him a new trial.
Evidence that's gotten from somebody from beating him up is not reliable. You don't know why a person makes those statements. It could be because it's true, but it could also be because they just have a low tolerance for pain.
Clearly the intent at that point has to be to terrify, to punish. At some point it might be to extract a confession.
Yo, get in the comment section. Give y'all a little bit more idea of who this goofy is when I'm doing the video on him. So, John Burge, you know what I'm saying? He was born December 20th in Chicago, Illinois. And, you know, before I even get into anything about him, he was accused of torturing more than 200 men between 1972 and 1991 in order to force confessions. Now, imagine if he was running the streets right now. Just imagine if he was running the streets right now. I couldn't even imagine, man. But, so, it even gets worse than that. He's a United States Army veteran. He served in South Korea and Vietnam. So all the tactics that he was learning when he was out there doing his little, putting the jumper cables on your nuts, when he was out there doing all the other little stuff to get confessions out of you that was fake, he learned these tactics out there in the Army. Just to show you how some people, you know, how they be all about, you know, F the crooks. I don't want to say F the crooks, but let's tighten up laws where crooks can't get jobs, they can't get guns. But then you got people who's legally able to carry a gun, who just served in the military. They know how to fight better than us. They know how to shoot a gun better than us. All that. And just like Lee Malvo, the dude who had him, the DC sniper, he was a former he was a vet or anything. I'm sorry, I gotta look more into that, but I know he was in the military, and he was specially equipped with weapons and knowledge where he was able to, you know what I'm saying, come back and cause havoc. But anyway, before I get too far off, anyway, so following the shooting of several law enforcers, you know what I mean, quote unquote cops in 1982, that's what led him to go haywire, I want to say. So it was a rookie cop and his partner. They was walking, and well, they wasn't walking. They was, I'm not sure exactly what they was doing, but they was patrolling. We just gonna say patrolling. And then, yeah, I ain't gonna lie, 2 men did approach him, and they killed them both. So that's supposedly what he used in his defense, what made him start doing stuff like this. He was tried, but he was never convicted. So he came from like South Deering. I never heard of that. That's on southeast side of Chicago. You know, he is supposed to be like another one of him, a brother. And so pretty much they names sound like they like Norwegian. Matter of fact, they is Norwegian. You know what I mean? Ethel, his mom named Ethel. You know, they was racist from the jump. They was real racist from the jump. He went to Bowen. That's something that shocked me. Bowen is a school on the east side over there, I think by Commercial. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Like 80-something in Commercial. In that area. I don't know if it's like by Commercial anyway. But from the jump, he went to go to the military. So then he went to Missouri. He dropped out after like 1 year. Got up, so he couldn't go to the military no more. He came back to Chicago, started working at Jules. And just imagine him as your bag boy. Oh my God. But this is a different time and era. I can't imagine being born back then myself as a black man today in Chicago. You feel me? But he went back to the military. He actually served, like 6 years ago, 6 years of service under his belt, 2 years active duty, like I said, Korea and Vietnam, if I'm mistaken, I don't know. But, yep, the man learned all the tactics he needed to know. He probably was putting wet towels over your face, pouring extra water on it. Now, that's just me being YouTube friendly. I can't imagine the stuff they was doing. I heard they used to stick needles in men's, and the Johnson. God, I can't even imagine that. But, so, yep, you know, I don't even go off his accolades. I don't even want to bring up the stuff that he did right in life, because that's not what we're here to talk about. And you know what I mean? Not trying to down talk any man that's no longer with us, but when you do stuff to electrocute men's testicles, you trying to sterilize a race. Every black man you come across, you're going to most definitely do that when you see you ain't hanging as low as the next man. And you know what I mean? You're like, we can't have none of these Long Johnson mother effers running around here raping our daughter. You know, let me stop. I don't know what YouTube's going to get into. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on with that. You know, he was, 22 when he first started. He was on the south side of Chicago. Man, I thought it was the west. But he was on the south side of Chicago, bro. He was out there in the Pullman area. And I think he was in the Inglewood area as well, man. Man, you know, I just can't even imagine this, bro. I can't imagine, because I can't say a lot of stuff, but I'm looking at pictures right now as I'm talking to y'all, bro. It's sad. But anyway, so the man, he had a crew of people that used to go whoop people. You know, him and the people that's under him. They used to call themselves the Midnight Crew for whooping black people, the Burge's ass kickers, or the A-Team. And they abused suspects to coerce confessions 24/7 every time. And the prosecutor stated that the Midnight Crew used methods of torturing, including beating, suffocation, like I said with the wet towel, that I guess, burning, and electrical shock to the genitals, among others. It's crazy. That's crazy. Now, like I just explained exactly what happened and why he got into torturing, quote unquote, which I'm pretty sure he was doing from the beginning. So we're not even gonna get into that. But I got a video in this. I got a clip of some videos I'm gonna show you, and it's gonna be a guy named Andrew Wilson where he kind of took it too far. And I'm not gonna get into all that right now. I'm just go ahead and let the clip roll. Get in the comment section. Let me know what's up. I'm gone.